Hello and welcome to BTN TV. My name is Angelique Platas and I'm the Lodging and Meetings Editor with Business Travel News. With me today I have Peter Grover with TripBam and we're just going to have a few questions.
Super.
Ready to go?
Ready to go.
All right. Well, TripBam recently updated its smart sourcing tool for hotel requests for proposals or RFPs. Can you tell me what precipitated that update and how it's going so far?
I think what precipitated it was that we realized it was a very successful service that was getting more and more uptake. As you can imagine, many people shrunk down their hotel programs sort of during and post COVID. And what that's meant is many aren't really fit for purpose. They need to add more properties as they go through the year
Right.
and do something that we call it continuous sourcing, which is not just sort of one and done, but they also need to renegotiate hotel rates at different times of the year because circumstances change. Either their volumes change or the rates that hotel are charging have changed. So we saw there was a high uptick in demand. And to be fair, the product when it was released was very good, but we've had lots of feedback from our clients and from hoteliers in terms of what we could do better. So some of the items we've included are some new dashboards for both the users, but also for the hotels. So the hotels can see what offers they've been sent by the corporate, and they've got a ready reckoner to look and see which ones are pending, which ones they've accepted, and which ones they're negotiating back with the client to and fro. So that was something that was called for from both sides and something we were pleased to deliver.
And how long has that add-on been in the works?
It's been in the works for a little while. It was always on the plan,
Oh,
but
okay.
again, it was sort of the demand sort of perked up even further. So we got that work done and prioritized it up ahead of some other things that we were doing.
All right, great. Well, speaking of changes, we're seeing some sourcing tools diminishing, such as Sabre shuttering their sourcing tool capability, perhaps due to no longer serving the industry's evolving needs. Can you speak to that a bit?
Yeah, again, it is that sunsetting, and I'm not sure why they've chosen to make those decisions. Perhaps they'd come to the end of their road and were somewhat legacy. But again, that has created an opportunity for us to
Right.
fill those gaps. And again, the team over in the US has received many requests from the folks who are losing their sourcing tool for us to step in. And again, some of what we're doing around sort of the changing of the dashboards, some more training materials. We're also making it more regionalized in terms of the hotels that you're sourcing. So more of a sort of a hotel directory. So a lot of what is being sunset by those other organizations, we're filling the gap for now.
And I know you can't speak to it exactly, but so those are probably due to the evolving trends in the industry. Can you speak to those a little bit? What's the hospitality industry looking for that they're not getting from those legacy?
Well, I think again it is that sort of on-demand tool that
Yeah.
is in continuous use. It's not a one and done. It's not like an RFP. They want something that they can use, gives them constant feedback. They can have consultants use it on their behalf if they wish to. So again, it doesn't need to be the corporate travel manager.
Right.
And in fact, we've increased the support team on our side so that they can allocate more activities for us. If they're already busy and they don't want to run this tool, we can run it for them. And that again is something I think that appeals because they're busy people, and if they can delegate some of that to us,
Yeah.
it seems to be making sense and resonating.
And everyone just seems to be getting busier, so that
You can feel that at the show. Everything's
Yeah.
busier. We were talking about this year seems to be on fast forward.
Yes.
And yeah, we've got levels of transactions we haven't seen before.
Well, that's great.
So
Well, you touched on this a little bit, but what are your corporate clients asking you about, particularly in the UK, but also across the globe? You mentioned the dashboard add-on, but are there any other innovations that you're...
I think the one big thing that we're being asked for more and more is around contract audit.
Okay.
So there have been contract audits in the past, but they were sort of just pick a day in February and see if our rate's available. What again we've brought to the market is a contract audit tool that checks every single booking to make sure you're being given your rate. And that's especially important with dynamic discounts because you don't know what 17% off bar was 3
Right.
weeks ago. So you don't know if you got it or even if you got it off the right rate. So one of the things that is piquing interest and many of our clients are asking for is that contract audit tool to make sure that they're getting what they've spent all this time negotiating.
Right.
Particularly if we're using smart sourcing, they then need to make sure that if they've negotiated that rate with the hotel, they get it every single time.
Exactly. All right, great. Well, what is TripBam investing in this year? Where is the company focusing its attention for the rest of 2023 and into 2024, if you can?
Well, our air service is a big push for the team. So that and the development and the enhancements of that, as that picks up more and more traction. So that, without a doubt, is is drawing in quite a lot of our efforts and our activities. And then, like I say, it's not, one of the good things is we don't just stand still. So the services that we've already talked about are constantly being enhanced and refined to make sure that, as you said, the world's moving on really, really quickly at the moment. It's sort of like we've come back out of COVID and we've now taken off at a fair rate of knots. So it's making sure that everything that we have stays up to date and current, and also making sure that we listen to the feedback from our clients. With 2,600 clients, we get a lot of feedback, and we get a lot of recommendations and a lot of ideas, and we still come up with, every day is a school day.
Right.
So we always come up with something that, or someone comes up with something that we hadn't thought of, and we have a steady release rate throughout the year. That means we can incorporate those changes as we go along.
Okay, great.
So yeah, it doesn't stop.
No. Well, you're speaking on a panel tomorrow about the travel supply and demand for the next 12 months. Can you tell us a bit about what audience members might learn from that experience, or anything in particular you want to highlight ahead of that conversation?
I'm not going to say too much because no one's going to show up. It's
just
difficult to pull in the
secrets.
crowd. But it is really interesting. Funny, it was for this show that I did some digging, and it's just seeing some of the regional differences in demand for accommodation. China is through the floor, India is through the roof. You've got other little pockets. London's still only about 50% of where it was, but the rates are above where they were. The devil's in the detail on the whole of the accommodation landscape. And you often see sweeping generalizations that, we're 19% up versus where we were in 2019.
Yeah.
That doesn't even start to tell the story, because not everyone is 19% up. Large corporates still haven't gone back to traveling.
Right.
You look at the state of San Francisco, which has been well documented, because large IT companies still aren't back in their offices and still aren't traveling. And that can, I'm not saying that's all that's brought San Francisco to its knees in terms of that hotel landscape, but it's certainly a major contributing factor. So I think part of what I'll try and pick out tomorrow, number one, I'll look back and grade my own homework because I did the same event last year. So I will put my hands up to where I got that right and where I got it wrong. I think overall I come out at sort of a C+, maybe.
If they're asking you back, it's better than a C+.
Well, I think they just like to take the mickey out of me, really. But so we'll do a little reflection on that, and then we'll look to see where I think it's going to go from here, both in terms of volumes, trends on cities, types of rates that people are buying. Because again, we're still seeing too many public rates being purchased because corporate travel managers haven't got their hotel program back into place yet. It's still got gaps in it. So those gaps are currently being plugged by paying public rates with no discount.
Right.
So that's sort of a little teaser for tomorrow.
Guess we'll learn more tomorrow.
I hope so. I've got to go home and rewrite the slides now.
No, you're like panicked. All right, great. Well, that's the last question for me. So thank you again so much for joining me. And that concludes our conversation on BTN TV. Thank you.